So at this point, and I thought very hardly about how I was going to do this because I don't particularly like reading, um, but I'm going to attempt to read every single book that's in these 5 worlds, and then go to the last level and play through that, and then do some more reading. So this will be a once in a lifetime experience. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So this is the first world we went to. It's called Time and Forgiveness. Um, if you remember, this was the world that wasn't anything special about it other than I could reverse time, and it just kind of introduced you to the game. So I'll just read through each book. Tim is off on a search to rescue the princess. She has been snatched by a horrible and evil monster. This happened because Tim made a mistake. Not just one, he made many mistakes during the time they spent together, all those years ago. Memories of their relationship has become muddled, replaced wholesale by one, but one remains clear. The princess turning sharply away, her braid lashing at him with contempt. He knows she tried to be forgiving, but who can just shrug away a guilty lie, a stab in the back? Such a mistake would change a relationship irreversibly, even if we have learned from the mistake and would never repeat it. The princess's eyes grew narrower. She became more distant. Our world, with its rules of causality, has trained us to be miserly with forgiveness. And by forgiving too readily, we can be badly hurt. But if we learn from a mistake and become better for it, shouldn't we be rewarded for the learning rather than punished for the mistake? What if her world worked differently? Suppose we could tell her, I didn't mean what I just said. And she would say, it's okay, I understand. She would not turn away, and life would really proceed as though we have never said that thing. We could remove the damage and still be wiser for the experience. Tim and the princess lounged in the castle garden, laughing together, giving names to the colorful birds. Their mistakes are hidden from each other, tucked away between the folds of time, safe. So you can see that the story's kind of, kind of introducing ideas, but not really explaining much. And that's kind of where the discussion at the end is going to come in at. So just take the quotes for what they are, and then things will be explained later. So we're at Time and Mystery. This was the second level I did. This one was the one that introduced green highlighted figures that couldn't be affected by time. So yeah, let's go with that. Time and Mystery. For those years ago, Tim had left the princess behind. He had kissed her on the neck, picked up his travel bag, and walked out the door. He regrets this to a degree. Now he's journeying to find her again, to show her he knows how sad it was, but also to tell her how it was good. For a long time, he thought he had been cultivating the perfect relationship. He had been fiercely protective, reversing all his mistakes so that they would not touch her. Likewise, keeping a tight rein on her own mistakes, she always pleased him. But to be fully couched within the comfort of a friend is a mode of existence with severe implications. To please you perfectly, she must understand you perfectly. Thus she cannot defy her expectation or escape her reach. Her benevolence has circumcised you, and your life's achievements will not reach beyond the map she has drawn. Tim needed to be manipulable. He needed a hope of transcendence. He needed sometimes to be immune to the princess's caring touch. Off in the distance, Tim saw a castle where flags flutter even when the wind has expired, and the bread in the kitchen is always warm. A little bit of magic. So we then head to the third world, called Time and Place. This was the incredibly hard one where moving left, reverse time, and moving right preceded time forward. It had the one with the fickle companion with the key that was incredibly difficult. So, just give you this setting. Visiting his parents' home for a holiday meal, Tim felt as though he had regressed into those long ago years when he lived under their roof, oppressed by their insistence on upholding strange values which, to him, were meaningless. Back then, bickering would erupt over drops of gravy spilt on the tablecloth. Escaping, Tim walked in the cool air towards the university he attended after moving out of his parents' house. As he distanced himself from the troubling house, he felt the embarrassment of childhood fading into the past. But now he stepped into all the insecurities he felt at the university, all the panic of walking a social tightrope. That was tightrope. Tim only felt relieved after the whole visit was over. Sitting back home in the present, steeped in contrast, he saw how he improved so much from those old days. This improvement, day by day, takes him ever closer to finding the princess. If she exists, she will transform him and everyone. He felt on his trip that every place stirs up an emotion, and every emotion invokes a memory, a time and a location. So couldn't he find the princess now, tonight, just by wandering from place to place, noticing how he feels? A trail of feelings and awe and inspiration could lead him to that castle in the future. Her arms enclosing him, her scent fills him with excitement, creates a moment so strong he could remember it in the past. Immediately, Tim walked out his door the next morning toward whatever the new day held. He felt something like optimism. So this is World 5, Time and Decision. This was the one that had the shadow that was created when you reverse time to use to solve complex puzzles that introduced the purple characters. She never understood the impulses that drove him, never quite felt the intensity that, over time, chiseled lines into his face. She was never quite close enough to him, but he held her as though she were, whispering into her ear words that only a soulmate should receive. Over the remnants of dinner, they both knew the time had come. He would have said, "I have to go find the princess," but he didn't need to. Giving a final kiss, hoisting a travel bag over his shoulder, he walked out the door. Through all the nights that followed, she still loved him as though he had stayed to comfort her and protect her. Princess be damned. Final one, Hesitance. This was the one with the ring that you would place, and it would cause time to slow down when you get closer and speed up as you went further away from it. Perhaps in a perfect world, the ring would be a symbol of happiness. It's a sign of ceaseless devotion. Even if he will never find the princess, he will always be trying. He still will wear the ring. But the ring makes its presence known. It shines out to others like a beacon of warning. It makes people slow to approach, suspicion, distrust. Interactions are torpedoed before Tim can open his mouth. In time, he learns to deal with others carefully. He matches their hesitant pace, tracing a soft path through their defenses. But this exhausts him, and it only works to a limited degree. It doesn't get him what he needs. Tim begins to hide the ring in his pocket, but he can hardly bear it. Too long tucked away, that part of him might suffocate.